Hello again, welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to SevTech Ages. So, since last episode, this is the floor where the water wheels were going to be, and I've added a couple rooms. I've been working on them, they're not 100% done, but I have been working on this area a bit. And, you know the soulstone, you can only make cobbled soulstone and smooth soulstone. You can't make any of the other ones, like the bricks and stuff like that, so... anyways, I have quite a bit of stuff set up here. First up, the kiln. Right now, some of this stuff is wooden. I moved everything over when I was close to a stack of soul forged steel. Whenever I moved everything over, because I was like, well, surely that's enough. I don't know what I was thinking, because this stuff is expensive. It is so expensive to craft. I mean, you don't necessarily need it, like I said, but like. Steel gearbox, I mean that's 6 gears, each of these gears being decently expensive, and then 8 ingots, and then redstone latches. Those are cheap and easy. But and then we also got the axles. They're not as bad per se, if I can find the things. Why can't I find the things? Oh, because I'm looking at ingots, aren't I? It's 2 gears and then nuggets and then leather belts to make 2 of them. A little bit expensive, it does add up. This side over here is all steel. So steel comes up off the water wheel and carries over to spring action bellows. I did upgrade these. So you can see I don't need any redstone. They automatically alternate. So it keeps this stoked very effectively. This side over here is pretty much all wood. Except for I've got a steel axle and a steel gearbox here. I'm just kind of changing this over because you can have the wood and the steel running together, and it seems to work all right. Doesn't have any issues. I didn't realize that would be the case, or we would have started in this room and upgraded as we went. So it is quite a bit of a process. Now, one thing I do want to note to you. I know most people probably won't craft the soul forged steel because it's just crazy expensive and it's not necessarily needed. But if you have a water wheel that is on a steel axle, right? Be careful, because I broke it, and it actually turned the axle. Instead of it coming back as a soul forged steel axle, it came back as a wood axle, which is kind of a problem. So whenever you put that down, make sure it's permanent, because I lost an axle that way, and which is kind of sad because those things are not cheap. So anyways, back inside of here, I've still got a bit more work to do in this room. I'm not sold on just the cobbled soulstone. That's just kind of like a floor that I'm working from. But anyways, over here we have a cauldron. This is the non-stoked cauldron because we do use this quite a bit with the concentrated hellfire, nether sludge, which as you can see I've got a ton of concentrated hellfire. Now technically you can just use netherrack down here. When I first set this up I just had netherrack. But I had so much concentrated hellfire that I ended up just changing it over to hibachis. Just in case you look down there and the fire alternates and you can actually see down in there. I thought the hibachis looked cooler. It's a very minute difference. But I've got so much concentrated hellfire, those things are cheap when you have, excess of that. So, over here is our stoked cauldron. This is for making like our potash. Powered by this spring bellows from this water wheel. This is the only thing that this water wheel is actually powering at the moment. Then over here on the other side we have our kiln, and currently it's making nether bricks. It's mass producing nether bricks. And so what I've been doing is, and you do have to change this over, by the way. It has to be changed over to unfired nether bricks. I know I brought that up. I was like, do we actually have to do that? You do have to do that. But what I've got here is I've got a block placer, and it's just placing in the items. And they go down right there, and then whenever they get broken, then after a second, like another one gets placed, and then the ender hopper here will grab it and stick it into this chest. So just simple, easy, automated kiln. I went ahead and did that off camera because I figure it's pretty straightforward. So, and I've got this kiln all built out. You don't need all this. Really, you only need, the 3 blocks. The way that we originally had it set up last episode was the correct way. It worked fine. It's just I didn't turn off the stoke, so that's why we couldn't make the crucible. And that's what I was messing with for so long. Back in here, this is all wooden. Spring action bellows there, of course, stoking the kiln. I need to put a lever here so I can shut off the power. I just haven't needed it, because I haven't made a crucible, basically. And then it comes through. Now, it's interesting, like I said, because the steel and the wood does work together. So part of this is steel I'm changing over. And then over here we have another spring action bellows, of course, powering our stoked crucible. So this is where I'm making... I've got more coal being broken down. But this is where we're making our soul forged steel. And then we have power come over and come through to our filter topper. And this is set up identical to how it was last episode. If we break down here, you can see the redstone's all the same. We have a detector block right there. And then a dispenser. I've got this floor open right now because there's not a whole lot else I can do with this until we get conduits. So, we're coming up on that anyways. And then dispenser setting here with the urns. They get dumped up underneath the filter topper. Dropper drops it down, and then it gets picked up here by the obsidian chest. Pretty straightforward, I think. You die. I thought he dropped a sword there for a second. And then over here, I've started laying out this room, just laying out the base shape, and the roof's not going to be bold castle brick tiles. I'm going to put slabs across the roof, because we're actually right underneath this floor, but it's going to work out perfectly. How many spiders? My base right now is like a mob death trap, because I don't light up anything until it's permanent lighting in here. So, but anyways, this room just kind of cuts through and connects up to here. But we're going to be using this room today. Also, I did fix our pick. So we have Mending 3, Fortune 6, Efficiency 5, Unbreaking 3, Experience Boost 3, Excavate 5. Now that is the ore excavation mod, Excavate, so it is toggleable. Instead of having the one that cannot be toggled and just wants to excavate everything. So, it is working very, very well. I'm going to go out, actually, and find us a node real quick. Okay, we'll pop over to the cinnabar sample. I don't think this is the one that I've used. It might be. I may have forgotten to delete it. I've been trying to keep up with deleting them. Okay, here's redstone. But I actually had to go get a new swift pick, which is funny because if you recall, I had so many swift picks before that like there was no way I was ever going to run out of them, but the idea ended up running out of them because they were so long that I wasn't enchanting them. So I'm pretty much out of swift picks, like spare ones. But I had to go get a new one because the one that we had was pretty much too far gone to really be of any use. But yeah, let's look at the XP. I've barely even started mining this, and it's insane. Like I said, I got like 100 and something levels from this. Now, you know what? I haven't tested with this excavate if it's going to work or not. So let's actually try this. Oh, I got 59 levels. So yeah, that's a lot of XP, really. This is a smaller cinnabar node than the one I found in the beneath that I mined and got all those levels. But 59 levels, I mean, that's nothing really to scoff at. I mean, that's pretty good XP, truthfully. XP Boost 3 is super OP. So, because the one that I mined, I actually ended up coming out with like 5 stacks of redstone blocks. So it was quite a bit bigger, but yeah, I mean, as you can see, I mean, it's massive XP. That's the best way to stock up XP, is XP Boost 3 on a fortune pick and call it a day. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that cinnabar sample marker. So anyways, today what we're going to be working on, and I did work a little bit on sorting. I've got to finish that. What I've got to do is I got to put that final floor, that third floor in the warehouse, because a lot of our like miscellaneous type storage is going to be up there, and I just haven't got that put on yet. So anyways, today we're going to be continuing on. We're going to be working with RF and working our way towards this flight, which we've had technically. We've had flight, but we need more flight. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to have to start getting into power, but to do that we're going to have to get into steel, and to make steel we're going to have to make blast bricks. We're also going to be able to make upgraded creosote ovens, coke ovens, which is going to be nice. So to make this, blast bricks, 4 nether bricks, 4 bricks, and blaze powder, and guess what? That is not a problem in the least. We have tons of this stuff. Oh, and I do have a chunk loader. I made a 3rd chunk loader, and I put it, it is actually right now it's up in that little Twilight Forest room that I had started to work on. And that's to keep the Better With Mods room chunk loaded. And I know KC asked me about if I was going to put better with mods, kiln, and stuff like that in the blacksmith. No, then that's simply because, well, A, there's not enough room in there. It's too tight of quarters. And B, that blacksmith is mainly like a weapon. It's a weaponsmith, okay? It's Tinker's Constructs weaponsmith, basically. Which, in truth, we're probably never going to use because I don't have any use at all for TC in this pack. There's better alternatives to, like, all of it. So, I did have some more bricks going over here, which I still got to put a roof on this. I've gotten sidetracked by, A, the castle, working on that, but also moving, packing, all that stuff. And then I had to go to my dad's yesterday because they're about to leave for 3 months for his job. And so he's going to be gone, so we went over there, and what, I need 9 of these? Yes, I think so. Do I want to start with 1 or maybe 2? Yeah, I think we'll start with 2 blast furnaces. Might as well, right? Because it's just going to speed up steel production. I guess. Do I want 2? Yeah, we'll make 2, whatever. But yeah, so we went over there and, you know, spent quite a bit of the day with him. And then also for Mother's Day, spent some time with my stepmom, and then my grandmother's coming down. And anyways, been tied up with some of that stuff, but... and then packing, of course. Definitely packing. Oh, it's so funny story, okay? And I have to tell you guys about this. Because it was great. Two funny stories, actually. One of them was just, we went to get some boxes the other day, yesterday. And, because we were out of boxes. And I got sidetracked. I was looking at some stuff in the store. And then we got over to get the boxes. And there was this old couple right in front of us that got every single box. Like, I'm talking like a cartload of boxes. Got every single box. And then I'm looking for these. Then we asked one of the workers there if he could check for the boxes, and he like went off for a bit, and he was like, "Oh no, we don't have any more boxes." I'm like, how do you run out of boxes? Like, do you not like keep spare boxes, you know? But anyways, we had to go get groceries last night. Pick up just a couple things. It was mainly rutabaga, and we got some kale, and what else? It was just like minor things, mainly vegetables that we were picking up. And I guess for right now, this blast furnace, because I don't exactly know where I'm going to put it. It doesn't go in that room. Because eventually we're not going to use these blast furnaces. We're going to have arc furnaces, right? So, we'll just set them up right here for the time being. This will be fine. Because blast furnaces are just something you don't really use long term. They're just kind of temporary. It's a 3x3. But anyways, we went to the grocery store to pick up just some vegetables. Just nothing... Didn't really take us that long. We were in there for like, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or something like that. And right as we were getting close to finishing up, almost up to the register, and then, of course, right-click these with the engineer's hammer, and there we go. We got our blast bricks, and now we can make steel. Let me go grab some iron, which I've got iron in here. But anyways, there was this woman, and she had been walking through pretty much the same pace going through the store as we had been, but she acted like she was just like the only person in the world, you know, like she was just like pushing past people, and like, I don't know, she was just really stuck up acting and everything. Well, anyways, we're almost to the end of the store, and she like, we're just walking in the aisle, and I mean, we don't walk slow, we walk at a fairly decent pace, you know. And anyway, she just like pushes past us, just and like tries to like squeeze past us, and then goes on to get her water or whatever. And it wasn't like she was like way ahead of us either after she passed us. She just like cut us off so she could be in front. I don't know. But so anyway, she gets to the aisle that has the water, and she leaves her cart right at the head of the aisle there. And then she walks off to go down the aisle to get her water. And we got our water, and then so anyways, her cart's right there at the aisle. So I take her cart and I just push it, briskly push it over to the other side of the store, and I tuck it behind like this aisle there. And she comes out. By this point we're at the register because she spends forever getting her water. But she gets out of the aisle, and she's like looking around, and she's like throwing her hands up trying to find her cart. And eventually she found it, right? But because we were a little bit back in the line, and by the time we got to the line, she found her cart, and she was like going through everything, making sure she had everything on her list. But she was just so rude. I was just like, you know, normally I just live and let live kind of a thing, but she was just so rude and so stuck up. I was like, okay, I'm pushing her cart to the other side, because she acted like she she had to be in front or whatever. So I was like, well, now you just lost a bunch of time because now you gotta go find your cart. So, so I don't know. People like that just irritate me. They irritate me so much. Okay, our steel is being produced. So now what we need to do while that's being produced is we need to get our stuff to make our water wheels. And let's take a look here. We want water wheel segments, treated wood and treated sticks. And I've got some treated wood, treated sticks right here. Let's go ahead and get a few of these. I'm going to get a little bit more treated sticks because we are going to want quite a decent amount of these. Alright, so water wheel segments, there is 11. There are 4 per water wheel, so I'm going to want at least 12 for the first setup. So let's grab one of these. I actually don't need that because it always uses 4, so that's just going to hang out. And there's our very first piece of steel. So done, and we got the steel ingot advancement. So there's that. And then we're going to go ahead and knock out another advancement by making our water wheel, our very first water wheel. Done, advancement. And then I need one more. So there is our 3 water wheels. We're all set on that end. There's also windmills. I don't really have a need for a windmill. I'm still going to set some up. Probably around the farming area or something, mainly for decor, but I'm not going to be using them within the castle. At least not at the moment. I don't have any need for them, but that's not to say that we won't eventually. If something comes up, I don't know. Okay, so our water wheels, what we're going to do is we're going to stick these down, and we're just going to go right in here. Bam, bam, bam. And I haven't put a roof on this. I don't know for sure if we're going to need it. Maybe right in there. But see, most of this you're not going to be able to see. And that side over there, right above it, we're not going to be able to see that. And actually, I need this to be a little bit higher, don't I? Yes. Just a little bit. And this needs to go lower, too. Oh, man, I didn't build these big enough. I was thinking this was big enough, and it's not, in fact. It's not, in fact, large enough. Okay, so this isn't really a problem to drop this, though. It is going to impact the room below us, but that's fine. I can work around that. And then up here, actually, I started bringing this over, and I don't think I'm going to, because I'm going to have these water wheels right here. So we'll just remove that. I've kind of got to readjust some of this. This is going to be the only spot that becomes somewhat of an issue, and really, no, it's not going to be an issue, because that's going to be, okay, that'll work fine. And I got to get some glass, because we're going to put glass on the front. Now, one thing I noticed, and this was very disappointing, so insulated glass, right? I was so saddened by this, because I was wanting to use this for decor. So I made some of this insulated glass, and look, like it chisels. And all is well, all is right with the world. Then, you will notice that, oh, it's just a visual bug. Haha, joke's on you. So, it doesn't actually work, which is a little bit disappointing. But, anyways, I've got a bunch of glass here made up. I tend to just run sand through there. I know it was brought up, it was forever ago, actually, but I know SevTech uses the stoked crucible, I think it is. Let me check here in just a second. Well, I was thinking he uses stoked crucible, unless that was maybe changed in the most recent update. That's possible. I don't know. He was making glass some other way. But really, I just dump it in there and let it run, kind of a thing. But yeah, like, normally I wouldn't do something like that to somebody, like, just rude, but man, she was just, like, you guys have no idea, she was so rude. Just one of those people that, I don't know. I don't know why some people are that way. I think they're just broken or something. Yeah, that'll actually work out alright. Because what I'm going to do over here, that's going to fit in perfectly. That's going to fit in fine, so I'm not too worried about that. Okay, so then we can set down our water wheels. Pow, pow, pow. Oh, you know what? And these aren't even big enough vertically. For some reason I was thinking this needed a 5x5, and I feel like it doesn't anymore or something. So this is not going to work out. I'm going to have to expand this out. Okay, I expanded this out, brought it out, and this should actually work out nicely. Because then what I'll do is I'll open this side up. Actually, I could probably go ahead and do that. Okay, so we'll have something like this, and then, of course, I got to bring all these down. But then the other water wheel will have the liquid flow around like this, and then it'll all meet in the middle, you know, right along this little border here. I think it's going to look pretty cool once it's done. So it's, I mean, I'm going to still add some detail work and some stuff like that to these water wheel chambers. This is just kind of to get them in place sort of thing. And so then what we're going to do is we're going to take our liquid starlight and we're just going to dump it down. You can use water, of course. You can use pretty much whatever liquid. Liquid starlight kind of matches our build a bit better. And so we're going to dump that on there, and look at that. We are now, our water wheels are now spinning. And then what we're going to do is we have to actually start pulling power from this with a dynamo, right? So let's take a look at the kinetic dynamo. This thing right here. Iron ingots, redstone, simple. But then we're also going to need some of this LV wire coil, which is copper wire. It's actually really, really cheap. This is actually extremely cheap. I just don't know. I need this. Engineer's wire cutters. But, like, I don't know why that woman was that way. Like, it's just... I just don't understand why... You know, it wasn't even just us that she was being rude to. It's just, like, everybody. Like, I'm the only person in the store, like, get out of my way kind of a thing. I don't know. It was like legitimate road rage with a shopping cart. It was crazy. I've never seen anything like it. Like, why she was being that way, but... And I don't think she was really in, like, a serious rush for anything, like, serious, because, like, she would, like, stop and check her hair and, like, do all this stuff as she was doing it, but then she would just take off again. I don't know. Like, just so rude. Okay, so we got our kinetic dynamo, and then we're going to need some wire. So LV wire connectors, and then relays, copper and terracotta. Okay, I went ahead and crafted 4 kinetic dynamos, and I actually set up all 4 of our water wheel rooms while I was cut for a minute there. MV, I think I'm going to go with MV wire, just because making Electrum isn't too big of a problem. I think we'll go ahead and upscale to MV. I think it'd be worth it. So let me go ahead and get some Electrum being made. I've got these blocks of gold. We've actually got quite a decent amount of gold from smelting all that mob farm stuff down. I've got most of it smelted down. I still have a little bit left. I just gotta grab it and move it over. Be a little bit easier once we have conduits. Oh, wait. Stop. Okay, so the MV wire coil, this is what we're going to want. And then I'm also going to want MV wire connectors, which is terracotta and iron. And then MV wire relays, which is terracotta and iron. Okay. Well, I've got the terracotta made up. We've got, right. Oh, no. Can't make it in this. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to smelt it through a furnace. Oh, and I've got some terracotta right here. Perfect. And then this Electrum is done, or it's still converting a little bit, but we've got quite a bit of it done. So I'm going to go ahead and start dumping some of this out, and we can get our Electrum plates that we're going to want. Okay, so there's 8 of those. We'll go ahead and take those, and then we should be pretty well set. There's a little bit more terracotta for us. I think that's pretty much everything. I figure we'll go ahead and upscale it to MV, pull it out as MV instead of messing with LV. I don't know how extensively we'll actually use LV. I tend to find this better just to go straight into MV and then use HV a little bit, you know, for moving power and stuff like that, but this should be good. So MV wire coil, and then let's go ahead and get ourselves the MV wire connectors. Let's go ahead and get 2 crafts of those. Because I've got 4 water wheels, I'm going to need at least 4 right there just to plug up to the water wheels. And then the MV wire relays, we'll go ahead and get 2 crafts of these. Now the wiring, a lot of it's going to be temporary because I haven't set up that room, and I'm going to try to hang the wire up along the ceiling-ish. Because one thing to note about this version of Immersive Engineering, like where we're at, you know, the version that the pack has, the wires do damage you. So something to know, but look at that. I don't have all the glass on this one. I meant to grab more glass while I was over there because I ran out of glass. I need to chisel out some more, but we do have all 4 of these set up. But the wires will hurt you. HV, I see people die all the time from HV. Namely, Damien, I've seen Severed a couple times die from HV. Because it pops up, I guess it's HV. It says they weren't careful enough around wiring. I want to say it says high voltage wiring. But anyways, we're going to put our kinetic dynamos down, facing into our water wheels, like so. And now we're generating power. We're actually generating power. Now one thing I want to look at, what does it take to make a capacitor bank? I would like to have an MV capacitor. Treated wood, which I should have, yes. 2 electrum ingots, lead ingots, block of redstone. Yeah, that's easy. Let's go make ourselves a capacitor. Honestly, I kind of wouldn't mind making a couple of these. They're not terribly expensive. So I'm going to go ahead and pour out the rest of this electrum as ingots. And then we're going to need just lead. Because I think I'd like to make a couple of these. Because you can stack them on top of each other and make a perfect little capacitor bank for denser energy storage. And honestly, I think I'd like to have at least some dense energy storage. So whenever we start actually using a bit of it, we'll have that available. So, okay, now we should be all set to make our MV capacitors. 4 of those. There we go. And that's just going to help us out. I like having energy storage. Okay, so what we're going to do, this is the room that I actually need to move the power to. And I'm thinking that we are going to have the... I mean, I could have the power banks back in here. Really. I don't know. Let's figure this out first. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and set our MV wire connectors down. Just right along through here. One on each kinetic dynamo. And then we're going to run it up and just plug it into basically a central relay. Like I said, a lot of this is probably going to get moved as time goes on. But just something to get the power over to where we need it. So we'll just plug these up like so. Actually, you know, I'd rather have, I think, I'll tell you what, instead of doing that, let's actually pull this up. Let's put relays directly above this, like maybe right up here. It's going to end up costing us more as far as wires go, but I think it's going to be better. In the long run, it's going to look a little bit cleaner. So we'll just plug that up, plug that over, then plug that up, and plug that over. Just right-click to do all this stuff, and then plug that up, and plug that over, and then plug that up. So all that's plugged in together, and it's clean. It doesn't cover up our water wheels, you know. And then what I would like to do, and this part is going to be very temporary, because, like I said, I want this to kind of run along like beams on the ceiling, but I haven't got this all put in yet. So we're just going to kind of run it over, somewhat messy, but it can't be helped. I'm already out of electrum wire. Okay. We'll just run that over, hit it onto the blast brick. But yeah, if I jump, and I'm not really taking damage from that. Okay, so more MV wire coil, and then what we're gonna do, I'm definitely gonna need more of this stuff, but this will be fine for right now. Let's run this over. I don't know where I want my capacitor bank set up to be. Honestly, I think if I put it into this corner here, I think that would be okay. I think that would actually kind of fit what I want. So what we're going to do is we'll set down, let's go ahead and just set all these down. And we're going to go ahead and configure these. So the bottom side is going to be, so do we want the power to come in the top and then it run out? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that'll be good. So what we're going to do is we're going to say the power comes in the top. The blue side is already input. Okay, the top is already input. So we're going to say the bottom side is output. So output, 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 and then I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. We'll set that one right there. We'll pull that up. Set that one right there. And then this last one, the output is going to be on this side, on the left-hand side. And then we'll just set that down right there. So the power is going to come in from the top side of this, I think, is where I'm going to, long term, I'm going to have it. So we're just going to put down an MV wire connector right there. And then we're going to put down, I guess, a relay setting. Actually, that's probably not going to be able to see it. Yeah. I do like that it shows, like, I like that it shows where the issue is for it. What if I did this? Is this going to be an issue? Also an issue. Okay. Cool. Okay, we're going to set it up like this for right now. And then bring it over like so. I don't know why that's not hurting me. I was thinking that would hurt me. Maybe not. Maybe it's only HV wires that hurt. So, since that's ran over, are we producing power? We are not producing power. Okay, what is the issue here? You know what? I think water wheels are probably LV, And that's probably the problem, is it just won't pull it out as LV. No. That means I'm going to have to make more wires. Okay, let me go try that. I'm pretty sure that's probably the problem. I think it was changed. Used to, you could pull it out as MV. You could pull it out as whatever you wanted to. But I think now you actually have to transform it up into MV. And I don't know what it would take to do a transformer and upscale it. Yeah, give me a second. Let me make this and let me make some LV. Because I think we're going to have to run this out as LV and then upscale it to MV. Because I've already made MV capacitors. I'm going to have to upscale it. So I'll be back here in just a moment. Okay, so let's adjust this all over. So MV wire connectors, we'll just break all these off. That should be the problem. That should be why it's not working. And we're going to do LV wire connectors. So we'll just run these across. Like that. If we take a look here, it's not generating any power still. But maybe it's not visually showing it having generated any power, but we'll see. And then we're going to have to switch all these relays out with LV wire relays. And then LV wire coil, I think that's a visual bug or something. There we go. I don't know. Like shows like the last thing it was connected to or something. And then I'm going to have just enough, it looks like, to run it over to a transformer. I have enough cable. Okay, so let's make ourselves a transformer then. This right here. It is in fact a robot in disguise. And we're going to put this thing down. I don't know. I'm going to put it down right here for right now. That'll be alright. Can I actually rotate this thing, please? Because that is... Yeah, I want it to be on the other side, in fact. Okay, so LV side. What we're going to do is we're going to grab our LV connection. And we're going to connect it over to here. So LV power should be going into the transformer. And we're still not getting power from this. Why is this? What's going on here? And then we should be able to connect this up. Maybe LV just doesn't even, like... Okay, are we getting power into this? Is this, still not producing power? Why is that? Okay, I figured it out. Figured out what the issue is. It is an old... I always considered it a bug, but maybe not. The water wheels actually have, like, a side that they want to connect to the dynamo, and so if you set them the wrong way, like, it's not like visually represented to my knowledge, but they just won't work. They won't produce power. So I had to pull them all up and then place them down on the kinetic dynamo and like have them facing that way. Now they seem to be producing power, because if I jump up and I touch this, you'll notice I take damage. Well, I'm supposed to be taking damage. It's not really visible, but yeah, there we go. MV, I can see a little bit of damage. So if we pop over here, we should see a lot of zombies. A whole lot of zombies. Goodness gracious. Okay, but we should see power coming into this. You can see the MV capacitors building up at a fairly decent rate. These have an RF storage of 1 million. So, but we're already halfway filled with our first MV capacitor. It looks like we're getting probably about 240 RF per tick. So, it's not too bad. It'll be decent power for us starting out, especially having 4 of these setups. I think it's a pretty good starting power setup. Plus it's MV power, which is always nice. Honestly, I don't even know for sure that we had to change those over to LV. I may not have had to do that, since the cause of the issue was different, but I don't know. I know some things were changed in, you know, the more recent versions of Immersive Engineering, but anyways, let's take a look. Do we actually have a metal press based thing? I don't see one, but there is one for making blaze rods, which is pretty much the same thing. Okay, so next up, what we want to do is we want to make ourselves a metal press. And then we're also going to have to make some of these metal press molds, these right here, so steel plates. But if we open up our engineer's manual, and honestly, I should probably make a projector. Do I want to make a projector now? I guess it depends on the cost. It's really not bad. Do I want to go ahead and make the projector? Yeah, let's go ahead and make the projector. Let's go ahead and do that. It's not so needed for like the metal press because it's pretty straightforward to build it. But when it comes to things like the crusher and the arc furnace and stuff like that, it's going to be handy to have that. So we might as well go ahead and do it. So 2 iron, then we're going to need a couple iron plates, some glowstone, And I know there's an advancement for making the projector as well. So lantern and then projector. And there we go. We got the overhead projector advancement. And like I said, that's going to be more useful as we move forward. But engineer's manual, if we take a look here at the... yeah, it goes under heavy machinery. This right here, I want to craft that with our engineer's manual. And you could see that since... basically, if you pull up the machine that you want to make in the engineer's manual, craft it together with your projector, and it's going to... it says displays instructions for making a metal press. So that's what we want to do. I mean, you can see I can hold it and place it. Eventually, I'm going to want 8 of these metal presses. So might as well go ahead, get that projector, and get ready to lay that stuff out. Now, I am going to want to make some steel plates. Can I make these? Yes, I can. Awesome. There we go. And I'm also going to need to make the press for the metal press. This needs metal press molds, which is steel plate, 3 blue dye powder, and 3 paper. So we'll go ahead and make another steel plate then. Oh, we're about to be able to say goodbye to a lot of this stuff, because there's a lot of presses that we'll be making. Actually, I want to look, because I had a bunch of coal running through this. I want to have the blue dye that we need here. Okay, our coal dust is done. I'm going to go ahead and snag this, and then like a couple stacks of this as well. Because making all that soul forged steel, I need to stay on top of that. Okay, so the metal press for, or the blueprint for molds, there's that. And then, what all are we going to need for this? Might as well go ahead and start getting this stuff together. So we are going to need a piston, 2 conveyor belts. We got so much stuff we need for this. It's standard recipe, but we do need quite a few things for this. We're going to need a couple pieces of steel scaffolding. So this right here, is it standard craft? Can I, I'm going to have to make that via the anvil. And we're definitely going to want, because in a lot of packs, you can just craft the steel rod, and there's no point in the press. We definitely need the press. But luckily, that's going to be one of the first ones we set up. Let's go ahead. I'm going to need 3 of these rods to get us started. And then we'll get our steel scaffolding. So 6 of those. And then we're also going to need the conveyor belt. This right here. So plastic or resin or leather, which is the way that we're going to go. So iron and redstone. And we'll get our conveyor belts, our first bit of conveyor belts, which is an advancement. So we do get that. And then we are going to want, what else do we need here? Redstone engineering block and the heavy engineering block. Okay, I have a piston on me. I just got to put it away. For right now, I've been putting this stuff into here. Alright, so redstone engineering block is redstone alloy plates, vacuum tube, which I am going to have to make some of those, and then the iron plates. Heavy engineering block is steel mechanical component. Man, these are expensive. Like all this stuff together, it adds up pretty quick. Okay, so we are going to need a couple pistons for this. So go ahead and grab those. And then let's pop over here. Let's go get everything that we're going to need. And the heavy engineering, I'm going to need 8. Ooh. I mean, I've got the steel for it. It's going to be a little bit cheaper soon. I didn't plug up the hopper to this. I could. Okay, so mechanical components, there's 2 of those. At least these are gonna go a little ways, anyways, because it does make 2 at a time. But like I said, altogether we're gonna need 8 of these presses. So technically we could do it all through one and just switch it out, but I find it's better. Plus you'll want it for automation later on, just to go ahead and just have one for each of them. And I was looking, we're actually gonna need all 8 of them in this pack. So there's that, and then we just need the redstone engineering block. So 4 of these plates. 4 of the iron plates. And then what do we need for the vacuum tubes again? 2 copper wire and some redstone. Okay. Okay, we should be all set. We should have everything on us that we need for setting this up now. Should. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to pop over here and let's get this vacuum tube made. So we are going to need 1 piece of glass. Oh, yeah, I've got that on me. That, and there's our vacuum tubes. And then we're going to switch this out, and we want to get the metal press molds. And so it's 5 of these, and then the engineer wires cutters, and then we get to pick which one we want. And so in this case, we want the rod one. That's the first one I want to make. Though honestly, I think probably making the plates might have been a better idea. Though I think, don't these come out to be just one plate per ingot if we run it through the metal? Yeah, okay. So it's the same as if we run it with the hammer. It's just more manual if we run it with the hammer. So that'll be fine. And then let's pop up here and let's get this thing put together. Redstone engineering block, there is that. Those only craft one at a time, which is kind of a bummer, but hey. Okay, so let's grab our projector, and we're going to lay this out. We want it to face... Oh, how do you rotate this thing? I cannot remember. Yeah, middle click. Okay. So we want it to face and go off in this direction, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put... yeah, this is actually how I want it. Okay, so we'll just right-click to set it down, and then it's going to show us, like, layer by layer. Oh, yeah, we have to hold on to this. Redstone engineering block goes right there, and then we're going to need our steel scaffolding. And I'm going to go ahead and just lay out steel scaffolding for those and those as well. Because I've got this laid out, so we're going to have metal presses all down through here. It's not going to stay cobblestone if it's visible, but I don't think these should be visible once everything's put down. And then conveyor belts going off in this direction. And we'll go ahead and put these down as well. Let me see. What does it take to make the dropping conveyor belt? Because I am going to want those. Iron trap door. Okay. Alright, that'll be fine. I'll go ahead and put those down. I've got 2 conveyors left. I'm going to go ahead and turn these into dropping conveyors. Because I am going to want those. Which we'll get into that in just a second. And then we're going to put down our piston. Goes right there. And then lastly our heavy engineering block, which goes right there. And then let's just grab our hammer and rotate the piston, and you can see the border on that turns green. It means everything checks out. The piston has to be facing down. And then just shift right click, and there we go. There is our first metal press. I'll go ahead and pull this out of my hands to get rid of those borders. There we go. And then we'll take our metal press mold and just put it on there for making rods. Let's see, we can make those crates, can't we? The storage crates? Yeah. Okay. I think I'm just going to make a storage crate because I think it'll look better in our room. And we're going to put a storage crate down right there. And then we're going to put our conveyor belts. And I'm going to end up putting like probably signs that come through. And put signage on this somewhere. Maybe on the front. That says like rods, plates, bullets, you know. Just to have everything labeled. But anyways, so rods go right there. Then we're going to have to plug power up into this. So let's get our MV wire coil. Our... I need that. I need the MV wire connector and the MV wire relays. Okay, so the connector goes right up here. Just plug that in. And then what we're going to do to actually run the power out, we're going to have an MV wire connector setting right there. It's going to pull the power out. It's going to immediately just bring it up to wire relay right there. Or do I want it hanging down from the ceiling? I could do either. Maybe from the ceiling. I think it might look better. And then we'll just bring the power up, connect it over, and then try to keep all the wiring in the room and stuff all clean. Just bring it up like that and connect it into our redstone, or our metal press. Okay. And then what we're going to do, which all this isn't visible, only the cobblestone back here technically would be visible. So we'll just replace that. And then what I want to do is we're going to have to set up basically a little like semi-automated system for this. Dropping conveyor, when the stuff comes out of this, it's going to drop into this wooden storage crate and go into there. So let's go grab ourselves a hopper. And I'm going to go ahead and make some more conveyor belts too, because we're going to need those. And I'm going to test, can I, is there any way I can insert this directly into this now, or do I have to feed it into the conveyor? So if I put, okay, that works, perfect. And then it goes down through and it gets pressed, and it makes our steel rods for us. So 2 steel rods right there, that easy. So we can just put our hoppers feeding into the metal presses, and then throw the items in, and it's that simple. So I didn't actually need the additional conveyors. That's fine. And before I forget, and I'll show you this, let's drop into here for just a moment. Let me throw in like a half stack of iron. I'm going to get that stuff converted over into soul-forged steel, and just so you guys can see it run. I'm really happy with that setup. It's like a beautiful thing. Let me go ahead and get some more steel being made. I think we're going to need a lot of steel moving forward. I want a lot for decor, but then in addition, we are going to need just a bunch of it for building and stuff like that as well. I hear you. I'll deal with you. And funny story, if you're wondering why I only eat white pear jello, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but my nutrition is awesome. I've stopped concerning myself with it because there's really no point in it, in truth. At this point, we're pretty much unkillable unless it's like antimatter. So, anyways, we'll drop our urns into there, which this will be cleaner once we get conduits. And then we can take our brown netherrack and just throw it into there. And I don't know if you saw the note on the last video, but I moved it up to 2 seconds, and it's 100% efficiency now. So, and then it runs through and it makes our hellfire dust and our soul urns that way. So, but this soul forged steel does not go very far at all. So, soul urn right there. Alright, let me go ahead and dump this stuff into there. And I'm going to continue building out metal presses. I'm going to do it between episodes. It's going to take a while to get all 8 of these built out. Basically, there is, if you take a look at presses, you have plates, which of course will be useful, gears, which will be useful, rods, which will be useful, bullet casings. I am planning on doing a bit with revolvers and chem throwers and railguns and stuff like that maybe in this pack. I think it would be kind of fun. Really fun, unique ranged weapons. Wires, which of course will be useful. And then we have packing, 2x2, 3x3, and then unpacking. And what these are for, this is going to be able to make our clay. So we'll be able to make our clay blocks through that. The 3x3 will be able to make blocks of metals and stuff like that without having to melt them down and mess with all of that. And then the unpacking, we can break stuff down, ingots into nuggets without having to, melt it down and cast it. And it's going to make our lives a whole lot easier. That unpacking and packing is going to be handy. But yeah, I'm going to need eight metal presses altogether for what I want. And because we have an advancement for it, and because we actually are going to need it, let's grab ourselves a bit of blaze rods. And I just have the weirdest sense of deja vu. If we take and we throw blaze powder in there, I believe it's 4 per blaze rod, yes. We throw it into there, and that's going to be a problem. That is where we actually do need an additional conveyor belt. Because when things like the hopper can only dump 1 blaze powder at a time, but the conveyor belt needs at least 4 to run the operation, so it's not going to be able to do. Yeah, I am going to need the other conveyor belt. That's fine. So we'll put down conveyor belt right there, and then we're going to have kind of makes a problem with my wire setting right there. We'll put our hopper right there for now. What I might end up doing is bringing it up. I don't know. That's subject to change. But if we dump our blaze powder on there, it's going to start going through. It's going to send 4 at a time through, and it's going to press it, and it's going to make our blaze rods for us. So we finally have blaze rods. That's done. Advancement made. Awesome. Okay, I cut for a minute. I got a second metal press set up. This one's making plates at the moment, and I've started working over towards these. But one thing, I know it's actually getting closest to wrapping up point. So one thing I want to do before we do end out is there's one other immersive engineering thing that I would like to make, and that is the crusher. Because this is going to be a major quality of life thing, because right now, netherrack dust, coal dust, I'm having to run it through that horse millstone, the millstone. That thing is slow. It is very, very slow. The crusher is going to kick stuff out a lot quicker. So I would like to go ahead and make this. We're going to need 10 steel scaffolding for this. So luckily, we got these metal presses set up first. So making steel scaffolding is a lot cheaper because we actually get 2 per ingot of this. Like if we run it through here, we get 2 steel rods per ingot. So it's going to make our steel go a lot further. So there's those. And I'm going to go ahead and use the 2 extras. Place those down right there. And let's go ahead and set our projector. We can craft this now with the engineer's manual, change it over to crusher. You know, it's not one projector per. And we're going to go ahead and lay this thing out. And I want to say the front side. Actually, yeah, I know the front side is the one with the engineering, the redstone engineering block. So we're just going to put that down right there. And, no, actually, I'm sorry. I don't want it. I want it setting right there, in fact. Yeah, because this front side, the chest is going to set right here. So I kind of wanted to set it back a little bit. Okay, so the steel scaffolding, we'll just put this in our offhand. Steel scaffolding is going to go there, 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 there. And that is all the steel scaffolding. And then next up, we are going to need to get ourselves 10 light engineering blocks. And these are mainly just iron. They're fairly cheap. I'm going to need more iron plates. Let me get some more of those going. Oh, wow, I don't have a whole lot of iron over here. A lot less than I expected. I literally just walked out of the room and all these guys spawned up. Which I don't mind. I mean, I'm getting a lot of stuff to cook down. Okay, so the engineering blocks. I've got some copper right here. Light engineering blocks. We're going to need iron mechanical components. So, 10 of these altogether. Which, sadly, that's going to be the majority of my iron plates. And then I need a bunch for making hoppers. And then we are going to need light engineering. Yeah, I'm going to need more. I'm going to need a bunch more iron. Let me go grab like a couple more stacks of it. Oh, and something interesting to note. The conversion wand, that is no longer craftable in this age. Not even H3, it's still not even craftable. So it was pushed back to a later age. I don't know what age for sure, but it was pushed back a bit. So just a heads up. I'm not going to throw mine down because some things were made easier, some things were made harder. Like, for example, the Ring of Ascent is a lot easier than when I did it. So I'm not going to get rid of my conversion wand. I love it too much. Okay, so light engineering blocks there, light engineering block there, there, there. Redstone engineering block right here. And then we're going to need some steel fences. These aren't terribly expensive. Just requiring steel and some steel rods. 3 of those per craft. And altogether, I think we need, what, 8 steel fences? Yes. Okay. This steel cost does add up, though, but we've got enough for it. But I am going to have to really start making a lot of steel. Quite a bit of it. So, there we go. And I think altogether, I'm going to want... I've got a space set out here for another crusher, I guess. That's what I'm going to put here. Just because. And then I'm going to have one up in the... like the forge ore processing area, because that's going to be one of our major ore processing steps for early game. And then this right here is hoppers. We need 9 hoppers. So chances are I don't have the stuff right now to make all of these. So I just need a few more, 4 more plates. All right, so our hoppers, they're going to go right along the top of this. This machine, it's a little bit expensive, I guess, but really at this point, it's really not bad for us. Not an expensive craft at all. And then 2 more hoppers, and that's everything. That is everything that we need for this machine. Now, before I actually start this up, before I activate it, I want to put a hopper on the top, because it's actually really tricky to place a hopper onto the top of your crusher if you build it first. So I'd like to go ahead and do that, because we're going to want to feed stuff into this, and then later on we'll get it automated once we get the conduits, and we'll have like a chest where we can insert into it. And you know what, I'm actually going to want, since I'm going with the storage crates, let me get some wood. Alright, so we're going to put a hopper down on the top of that, and then we'll go ahead and form the multi-block. So shift right click on the steel fence in the center there. Okay, our crusher is formed, and then we could just put stuff into this hopper that we want to feed down into the crusher, and then we're going to put an output on this, because otherwise it just throws the stuff into the world, and we definitely don't want that to happen. And I still want to do the fluid output for the creosote. We're not going to have time to get around to that today, but we'll do that next episode, that and V's Craft. Promise. I know we've been talking about doing Vcraft, but part of the time I had to put it off because we just didn't have the stuff. I couldn't make blaze rods, but now we're ready to make it, but we don't really have the time this episode, I don't think. Okay, so the crusher is in place. Now we just need to plug this thing up with some power. MV wire connector. We're going to set this thing down. It's on the other side. Goes right here. And then we're going to get our MV wire relays. How do we want to run this over? I'm thinking if we put relay right there, run that over... No, that's not going to work. Relay right there, and connect it over, and then what we can do is just... let's see, connect our power line over to here, and then... Is that gonna... That's gonna droop. I don't like that. I want to be really particular and picky about my wiring, because I want it to look nice, but then in addition... I think, yeah, that's just a visual bug. I also want it so we're not going to be getting electrocuted all the time. So it's going to be more expensive running the wiring, but I think it'll look better than just willy-nilly wiring everywhere. Okay, so the crusher now has power. So then what we can do is, which I don't have anything over here, let me go grab some netherrack. And I actually filled up the drawer with netherrack. Basically, I went down there and I excavated once and had enough netherrack. Which, by the way, whenever you have this pick that has excavate, one thing I do suggest doing if you can is take off your armor when you mine, because that way it prioritizes fixing the pick. It does help a lot. So, but anyways, now instead of having to use the millstone all the time, I can just throw in this hopper, I can just throw in netherrack, and it's going to start kicking that stuff out way faster. Way faster than that millstone. I'm so ready to get rid of that millstone. I hate that thing. It's not bad, but it's just so slow, and I'm crushing, like, between episodes, like, literally I was filling up that chest to crush down into netherrack, because I was needing so much. I mean, that is a lot, because each of these pieces of concentrated hellfire, it's 8 netherrack, right? And, by the way, look at all of our nether bricks. Having this automated is just nice. I still need to put a lever on this, but I'm not making crucibles right now, so I haven't gotten around to it yet, but... And by the way, just to show you the process of this, because it is surprisingly super expensive. I've got some Soulforged steel nuggets here. I actually lost my anvil earlier. It was because I put the floor on and I didn't pick up the anvil and move it. It was under the floor, and it took me a minute to find the thing. But just to give you an idea how much these gearboxes actually cost. So to do this, we are going to need more of this. Break that down. So we're going to need to get ourselves even more nuggets. This is very, very expensive, just to give you an idea. So there is 6 Soulforged steel gears, and then we're going to need 2 of these redstone latches, and then we can make the gearbox. Like, look at that cost. It's so expensive. Like, I had, what, 38 Soulforged steel nuggets, and I actually had 2 ingots worth of nuggets on me. It's like 38 ingots to make one of these things. It's so expensive. And not to mention, I mean, having it semi-automated, it's just passive. I just throw the stuff in there and just whenever I do it, you know, it's not a big deal. I mean, it'll be even easier once we have it, like, pretty well automated, once we get conduits. But I need, okay, for this side, like over here I had to use 2 gearboxes. Over here, I've had to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those gearboxes altogether. Now, like I said, you don't necessarily have to do that. You can use wood and it's perfectly fine. But I quite like having the steel ones. They look better and they're a little bit more of an achievement. So, and then we can put that gearbox down. Yay! So now I only need 4 more of those things. Then I need all the axles too. The axles are a little bit cheaper, but I hate making the leather belts. The leather belts are kind of a nuisance because they're kind of expensive, actually. They add up, and you only get 2 steel axles at a time. Yeah, now we have a crusher, and I bet that netherrack's already done. Like, look at... No, it's almost done. Okay. So, but I mean, that was 2 stacks. And also, this crusher... We are going to be using this for our ore processing system. We're not going to be able to do this until we get an arc furnace. And honestly, chances are probably... We'll look at it in just a second. But like nickel grit, you can throw in nickel ore or those little nickel clusters. into here and get, say, 2 nickel and a 25% chance to get platinum dust. So this is like where our ore processing is going to go. You can also do it with the grindstone because you do have an 85% chance to get extras. There's also the quartz grindstone, which we could do. I don't know. Maybe there's not a chance to get extra on these. I have no clue. But anyways, we're going for the crusher. This is what we're going for because it's always double, and we're going to get that extra chance. Now, to actually use this stuff, though, we are going to have to smelt it in the arc furnace. That's the only option that we really have. Technically, the copper, we could do crystallized copper shards, and then, can you not? Maybe you can't turn that into ingots on here. With the, okay, well, we can also do this and make, you know, our metals this way. So, I mean, I can still make use of this if I'm making bronze, get extra copper from that. And I should be able to do copper and tin and make the bronze that way. It's going to be double on that. But until we get the arc furnace, we can't actually make ingots of that stuff. But let's take a quick look at the arc furnace because we might actually do that next episode, like the arc furnace, the tank for the creosote, automate that, and do V's-Craft. So a second episode of kind of immersive engineering and V's-Craft because we just don't have the time this episode. But the heavy machinery, the arc furnace, and I know we're going to need this later on. And this is kind of like the epitome of immersive engineering. This is like the super machine. Cauldron, well, you got those. I've got plenty of those from Twilight Forest. Steel sheet metal slabs, steel sheet metal, block of steel, a lot of steel. That's a lot of steel. Steel scaffolding, redstone engineering block, light engineering block, heavy engineering block, reinforced blast brick. We can do all that. It's just a massive amount of steel. Next episode, I would also like to do the reinforced blast bricks, steel plates and blast bricks. I think we're gonna, once again, I tend to skip the improved blast furnace. I think we're going to skip it again and go straight for the arc furnace because there's not really a whole lot of need for it, making the preheaters and stuff. However, we will make the reinforced coke bricks and get that set up in our creosote workshop area because those are quite useful. Faster coal coke, faster creosote. So we'll spend a bit of time in there and spend a bit of time with V's-Craft. So I've got to make up a bunch of steel between episodes. Like a massive amount. Pretty sure the steel sheet metal is standard in this pack. It is 4 steel plates makes 4 steel sheet metal. Not very expensive. Of course, we made plenty of that in Farming Valley, like massive amounts of it. So yeah, next episode. I do apologize we didn't get into V's-Craft. We just didn't have time, and we had to get the infrastructure in place to actually be able to do that. that was close. I was getting like lazy attacking it. So I've got to make up, a bunch more of this stuff. And slag, in this pack, we can either turn slag into sand, or we can make concrete or asphalt concrete, which I'm actually probably going to be doing a bit with asphalt concrete before too long, I hope. Kind of excited about that. So we'll just stockpile that stuff for now. But anyways, our infrastructure's down. Between episodes, I'm going to try to get the other metal presses that we need. It's actually a fairly quick process. Once you have the rods and the plates, and then, especially, well, I think that's the main, and the wire. I think we'll need to get wire. Maybe just plugging all this stuff up, I don't know. But we'll get that stuff set up. I'm going to try to get the other 8 ones down. And so then, honestly, we're going to have a nice workshop here where we can crush. Have 2 of these set up so it's a little bit faster. And then we'll also have one up in the ore processing room, which I'll probably try to get some of that built out because we're going to need to set the arc furnace up in there. Not really enough room in here, I don't think, to put an arc furnace. It would be a little bit tight. Honestly, I may end up making a second arc furnace and putting it, I don't know, right in here or something. So I don't know which one I'm going to put down next episode. We'll figure it out. But anyways, I'm going to work on a lot of steel between episodes and get that stuff together. And then next episode, we'll tackle that stuff in V's-Craft. So I think I'm probably going to need like 5 stacks of steel for next episode, not to mention making metal presses and things. So it's going to be expensive. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, as always, be sure and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already. Stay updated with when new videos come out. I hope you guys have a wonderful Mother's Day. This video should be coming out on Mother's Day. So I hope you guys have a wonderful Mother's Day. And I hope to see you guys next time. So until then, as always, do take care, stay safe, and I'll see you guys then.